What the what? We have news outside of Lane Myers for once. Say it isn't so. Chille DeCastro delays his game again and says it'll either be done by the end of the weekend or by the end of the month. He wasn't sure. Pledges big comeback once his 4 projects are done. Kevin, the angry vet, Soper discontinues his GiveSendGo campaign. Gives no reasons for the deletion. Plus, all the Lane Myers news that's quick to print. Stint a hint? I don't know, just watch. All this on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good evening and welcome to another combined edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast powered by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Johnny Jones and I'll be your host for a kind of sort of not Lane Myers edition. Stick with us. We have stories about Chille DeCastro and the angry vet. It's all good. They're neat stories. They're worth your time. Really. Just don't leave us as we ask you to focus on. Josh Gray continues to brigade for Lane Myers. YouTube viewers, the extended data for the crowdsourcing campaigns are available by clicking the text link in the description below. Continuing a planned pressure campaign despite Lane Myers' apparent capitulation on Tuesday. Josh, this is a public service. Gray put up an attack video on Myers prosecutor Rachel Stiles and called for the continued brigading of Tucson area news anchor Dave Biscobing to get involved in efforts to release Myers. Gray released a video on behalf of the cause to free Myers on Thursday, which featured clips of an ABC 15-story Biscobing did on former Maricopa County prosecutor April Sponsel. Sponsel lost her job and later her license to practice law in 2023 after it was found that she helped to bring false charges in 2020 against social justice protesters, claiming that they were a criminal gang. In Gray's video, he calls on Biscobing to investigate Pima County Attorney Rachel Stiles, apparently for similar accusations for having Myers arrested. Gray indicated that he and his associates have gathered information for Biscobing, with Myers already proving the case that Stiles is corrupt, and all Biscobing would have to do is come in and play the hero. The Myers campaign embarked on a new tactic Tuesday morning, hours before Myers' stunning act of compliance in the courtroom. That tactic saw the group launch a 4-page form letter for its members to flood reporters, such as Biscobing and other local news affiliates, local and national level political figures, and the judge handling Myers' case, with a plea to drop the charges against Myers. From our own reporter in the courtroom on Tuesday, Myers did catch the attention of a local stringer reporter who was hoping to provide their story to the local news media. That story has yet to make it into Google's news search, as Myers is drawing little to no attention nationally. Gray also claimed that prosecutor Stiles was more concerned about a proposed fundraising idea where Myers would use an image of Stiles on a t-shirt than she was in getting Myers access to the Pima County Adult Correction Facility's online law library. The YouTuber posted, "So instead of worrying about access to the law library that hasn't existed for 2 years in the Pima County Jail, Rachel Stiles is apparently more worried about fundraising ideas for Lane's legal fund than the law library. Rachel, is it true you said you would retaliate against Lane if he sold t-shirts with your face on them and not plea bargain? Is it true you said you would charge him with a crime? Pre-orders go to thisisapublicservice@gmail.com. Gray's increasing desperation, working on behalf of Myers' cause, comes at a troubling time for the Myers movement, with Myers indicating that he was open to taking any plea deal that was offered to him on Tuesday. New donations to his GiveSendGo account fell to $20 on Wednesday. While Myers outperformed the market, being the only recorded income for any of the 30 campaigns we follow, it is a troubling sign as Myers continues to fail to connect with supporters. Just Myers' wife showed up to support him at his last court hearing despite Myers' continued orders to his fans to defy his oppressors and show up for him. A t-shirt campaign might bring in short-term support for Myers, but with long-term support in doubt, many think that Myers should be taking his own advice and focusing on his freedom rather than antagonizing his foes with angry t-shirts.
Journalism in crisis. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed and writing news stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe displayed on screen right now. As real American and true protector of the First Amendment, Lane Myers has made multiple threats to sue us in recent days. Portions of all donations may also go towards fighting any possible future lawsuits. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our entire videos, like, share, subscribe and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
Lane Myers' arraignment delayed due to new motion? Those checking in on the continuing saga of Lane Myers before his arraignment for 3 felony and 3 misdemeanor charges he picked up while on bond for 14 other charges got a surprise on Thursday afternoon as a notice of appeal appeared in Myers' file on e-access, izzycourts.com, before the arraignment itself was apparently delayed due to a new motion. The appeal, listed as CR 202-51566, is titled State of Arizona, Appellee versus Lane Jeffrey Myers, appellant, and lists the city prosecutor handling the case for the state of Arizona as Marielle Warman. Warman is listed as working for the Office of the Tucson City Attorney Criminal Division. The case is being handled in the Municipal Court of Appeal, and the judge assigned to the case is Kimberly Ortiz. No other information is available at this time. No hearings have been set, and the appeal is listed as being filed on April 4th, 2025. Myers' usual spokesperson, Josh, this is a public service. Gray has yet to comment on the nature of the appeal. Myers was listed to be arraigned on Friday for his 6 new charges that he picked up while being on bond for his original set of charges. The arraignment did not happen. Instead, Myers has filed a motion for rehearing on bail pursuant to Rule 7.4c. Rules of Procedure 7.4 C state. C. Later review of conditions. 1. Generally, on motion or on its own, a court may re-examine bail eligibility or the conditions of release if the case is transferred to a different court. If a motion alleges the existence of material facts not previously presented to the court or the defendant is unable to post bond due to the defendant's financial condition, the court may hold oral argument or an evidentiary hearing. 2. Motion requirements and hearing. The court may modify the conditions of release only after giving the parties an opportunity to respond to the proposed modification. 3. Eligibility for bail. If the motion is by the state and involves a defendant previously held eligible for bail at the initial appearance, it need not allege new material facts. The court must hold a hearing on the record as soon as practicable, but no later than 7 days after the motion's filing. As the court has not updated any of its websites, we more than likely will not have further information about Myers' motion or his appeal until Monday. The Lane Myers experience had another down day on Thursday, as Josh Gray's new attempts to fundraise on behalf of Myers by attacking prosecutor Rachel Stiles again resulted in no new donations. Gray's address was strange as he talked about the prosecutor and he talked about making t-shirts as a fundraising idea, but he never got around to actually fundraising for Myers. We may not be especially bright about fundraising, but we do know that you need to tell your audience why you want them to send you money and where to send it. Myers was not alone in goose eggs for Thursday, as the entire market pulled in the nuisance eggs with no new donations to any of the campaigns we follow. We do owe Myers an apology as we missed a $100 donation for Thursday's tally, bringing him to $120 in donations for Wednesday. We apologize for the error.
Oops, he did it again. Chille DeCastro's game delayed. Fans of Jose Chille DeCastro were again disappointed as the YouTuber announced on a live stream on Friday that his promised end-of-the-week deadline for his Constitution headquarters board game would not be met. The live stream, titled Seeking Board Game Researchers and Testees, We Don't Stop, featured DeCastro admitting to but taking no responsibility for missing his April 1, 2025, deadline for the game. DeCastro said that there were 7 lines of the game but only listed 5 before losing his train of thought. Those he listed were case law, presidents and vice presidents, articles, and amendments. The YouTuber admitted that there would be little errors with the game and said he needed people who pre-ordered the game to contact him with their email addresses so he could verify that they held a registered pre-order of the game. Once verified, he would send them a preview of the game featuring a line of the game that they would be given the opportunity to spell check and play test for him. Again, for a game that he had announced would be released on April 1, 2025, and that had 1,000 pre-orders. DeCastro, broadcasting well after midnight on the East Coast to 150 people across all of his platforms, told his followers that the game will be done by the end of the month if it's not done in the next 2 days. Bringing up the long-forgotten Craig Hendry, DeCastro began to play an audio call with the jailed YouTuber. Hendry is currently in the Vermilion County, Indiana, jail after being found guilty of stalking and harassment charges. Hendry started the call by complaining that DeCastro hadn't been taking his calls. DeCastro explained that he was so busy he didn't have his ringer on most of the time but picked up because he recognized Hendry's number. After thanking DeCastro for recent book deliveries, Hendry announced that he had filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the jail as he's always being punished but never receives due process. He said he complained to a female prison official about his treatment, who said she simply didn't care. Hendry continued to complain that he was put in segregation without reason, and he was worried as he was going to be transferred to Sullivan County's jail for his next set of criminal charges. He sounded depressed and emotional as DeCastro shut down the call and promised he'd release an edited version of it soon. DeCastro mentioned that the jail regularly robbed Hendry of his time with a tablet. Then he plugged his viewers who regularly contributed directly to DeCastro to buy Hendry books and put money on his commissary. At no time did DeCastro mention either of Hendry's GoFundMe accounts, which have gone most of the year without donations since DeCastro became Hendry's sole means of communication with the outside world. Turning his attention to President Donald J. Trump, DeCastro admitted that his supporters were largely Trump supporters and asked them to take a good look at Trump's actions and how they were destroying the country. DeCastro said that no one cared when MS-13 gang members were being arrested and deported because the United States government was the biggest drug dealer on the planet. He said he was disappointed that Trump has gone back on most of his campaign promises. The YouTuber lingered on the list of people who allegedly visited Jeffrey Epstein's island, commenting that all of the people who allegedly did things to underage people at the island would never be prosecuted. DeCastro eventually wandered of the subject, having multiple fights with ChatGPT on air, and telling his fans that while he was not Jewish, one of his ancestors was in a newish story about an uncle who migrated to Colombia who was Jewish. Promising that he'd soon return to prominent status once his 4 projects were done, DeCastro stated that he would be holding multiple live streams a day to promote those projects. He declared that his fans would be sick of him from all the things he'll be putting and all the live streams he'll be doing in the future. Plugging his overnight rest compliance form, which is yet to be available for free download at deletelaws.com, DeCastro played portions of his commercial for the product. In the commercial, DeCastro implies that it is a legal document to prevent police officers from stopping users from sleeping in their cars. DeCastro claimed the document could be trusted as it was written by a constitutional law scholar and again implied that it had legal standing. DeCastro is not licensed to practice law and has been warned against providing legal documents in the past on at least one occasion. This is an ongoing news story.
The Angry Vet deactivates GiveSendGo campaign. Fans of Kevin the Angry Vet, Soper received a shock at the end of the week as his GiveSendGo campaign was set to unpublished status without explanation. Soper has always been a controversial figure in the community. With multiple felony convictions in Maryland last year and his controversial interactions with police in South Carolina, which some have accused him of staging, his various fundraising campaigns for his 501c3 organization, the Servicemen and Citizens for American Rights Society, SCARS, as he was unable to provide proof that it was registered with the Internal Revenue Service until recently. The GiveSendGo campaign took in a little over $800 before it was unpublished, though it had gone over 4 months without a donation. His GoFundMe campaign, which is still alive, has not had a donation since January and currently sits at a total of $1,240. Soper's unpublishing of the campaign effectively ends the promotion of the campaign, as it's unclear if the campaign can be opened at a later date. It joins a number of lower-level campaigns that have recently been closed by their creator. Last month, Jack Texas Sheepdog, Miller's campaign, was shut down after going a year without a donation. The campaign was dedicated to protecting and advancing civil liberties and civil rights in the United States of America and had taken in $407 before it was shut down. The campaign was not without controversy, as Miller faced charges after inappropriate images of underage individuals were allegedly found on computer equipment belonging to Miller. With the charges pending, it was unlikely that Miller would receive large amounts of donations. Also ending over the past 2 months were the GoFundMe campaigns for both scammer Floyd Wallace and Last Days of Freedom, Jeremiah Payne. No reason was given for either removal. Wallace's campaign had brought in a little over $410, while Payne's campaign capped out at $80. Neither campaign had received donations in the last year. In active campaigns, Lane Meyer's GiveSendGo campaign took Friday with a $20 donation to his own GiveSendGo to chase the geese away. It was the only activity in the market for the day. And we're back. See, I told you it wasn't that bad. We're trying to have more non-Lane Myers editions in the near future, so everyone wins. Tonight, be sure to join Jim and the gang for their latest live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll be back sooner than you can shake a stick at us. Cast the rabies-infected demon up from the hellfire and call us names, because demons have nothing better to do. Or something. Good night, everyone.